is a Moti and Cafe Peace 104.3 FM. And you may have a majo. The Master Fidenida Peace FM, Namakaya home. I will a Numero Saka Sebuimu. Ghana and some Yabuano and Yumrea don't share about Commodore Mayesre. Sat Muni and Tinana Yan Fam Remo. And I'm okay FM Nit FM. Stations I can send me and say you was ship house if you can see him. Abeka dance na Accra. Hello FM e wo Kumasi. Na stations babro de wo ho. Ana na nwumre yi. Wodo ntoma be wo Peace FM dia no. Aje kase boyi a. Ghana de se wo tifia na fo pie ye ni atoye nyina etibie. Ko social media no bo Peace 104.3 FM. Edobeba studio. Obehwe yan sanso atienka. Okay, on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube, TikTok, Zoom, WhatsApp. And some of your day, I know what drink rubber. Kwabemu wa dauruma, ya bekin kama mansanso so at one camp. And some nini.
Ghana bandi ya tujwa se get fan pempimu esiano no wasinyame ya dumwa wombe yidie free home.
His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has resolved the funding challenges by uncapping the GET fund.
Afi waswafo ya washo my Ghana sika samso Dr. Kesela toba for sendia tuja watch se kada adwumedie ne Ghana ban ni mientia wode ebaye abana chrechem se levy afi emission levy wo ba bayi e de free honum.
We will abolish the 10% withholding tax on betting. We will abolish the electronic transfer levy, e-levy of 1%.
Kani waswafo ya no washo my Ghana sika samso akasa kire se MPP aban ekono na sika sam gina naso pa.
The minister has confirmed to the whole world today that the economy we handed over to the NDC government was a strong economy.
And then you may be quite humano so now for any penny quanchira for ya wabene. I was sick as some to Tiemo. Dr. Edu Ogusa Quadia Quakodin Como, Alpha budget in a home.
And some become one of you may yes in Kujama Daruma Yade, Ebremona, and Mekoya Daruma. Ocean's chemist, at the Ocean's Galley capsules are so yasene. When you said yes, I are able to answer. No, no, Nabibia said a bear only a rebel to Quantapai. Unum Ocean's Galley capsules are only a rentum quanwa pa. Obuwa ya rebi chuma kuni baby. Yes, I say new system no one yadinti. Nani pejana yarena wa too. Num Ocean's Galley capsules here. Yarian getting no no. Away by Subejano Quine. Empty every day. Omward mount. Everywhere. Woman on a num. Baby, anti Debiani baby over be a MTN. Debiana, what you be able to be a Fibiani baby over Biano. A MTN network be a Dwada name with the Ebnada friars out of order. Who quite over friends for a doom and Sunabatrino gone MTN Tessa. High sense Ghana, everyday prices for everyday people. And your mamma Fiatina, a Yenika. And the Buafo, or track some mount. High sense. Duffy roofing systems, every young man chance to papa for board dancer. And so beton from a boy whom betu. Unstro. Budget cuts and carry. There were you, my bre. Now what then swat some water baha. We have blue jeans energy drink. Raoul's pharmaceuticals. A madam high lady virgin feminine wash. Maddy says under canoe. A mohoya come at wine hoyam. High lady virgin makes and so subwa. Emma and Sabuno. De won't pace beer. Pepsodent cavity fighter. Ya wo heba no ne sanso bidie no. Emu bi odu choose ya. Wo se pie white sakado. Wonum ye hwam. Wo hia gam. Eno etie no. Wo se ye den. Emu otum de bibi e de esenwe. Enmekoya da roma na enwumre yi. Yesin konwa e de Ghana nsem ebremo. Akenkan for ya me. Ohini nana kwame amo ena
gaganto lady ohene wa kase bo ahene afi kase bo de munchire mu ankasa enie empanifo na ka wasem wasi ejabo eja no wenya Babylon enadue yi wode wani kire mu my Ghana mra shebedofia ese wani sisi ka kire wo osoafo ya wo sho my Ghana sikasam so Dr. Kesela to ba force nkoya na chese o my Ghana konhuma sika na en woto ne bo ase kire mu se wei eni sika aba no watwade ato wonam sade be ye oban no ye betimi de abo ye ho ebra na ba kwa no waka ho asem ye papa eye ka danda adwumedie no didi ye pedwumedie no obi enim se aba no edubre bi wo krom ha se ya MPP fo na nete so wodi anase hyehyɛ wodi to dwa ne se ne anuoma si kwa ne ha adwene panti e ka dada na aba no wodi anyina da yansi hu no wo soro no wokodi exchange ewo mu ya wokopre foforo akye sense hu no na yade bi e wo fom papa wopani akasa wo bu akye se e kwaba ne sa se ya na bre pote wo se yetimi di tua no yetimi twim e de kwa akire enti e ka dada adwumedie ne se na bre e be so se ye betimi di tua e ye 2027 afeso 2028 yentie ensem osofo de ato dwane bi.
Program for the next 4 years is 150.3 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, simply put, the interest and principal payment that will be due for payment beginning now for the next 4 years is 150.3 billion Ghana cedis. This represents 11.6% of GDP in domestic debt service obligation alone. The Speaker, of this 150 billion US Ghana cedis, 73.3% of this 150 billion Ghana cedis is due for payment in the year 2027 and 2028. Right, Honorable Speaker, 2027 alone, the domestic debt service that will be falling due will be 57.6 billion, and 2028 will be made to call upon to pay 52.5 billion Ghana cedis.
Ania yokotie ya osofo ya washo my Ghana sikasam so Dr. Kesela to ba forcing na wopani ato so akyerem se project be se eduonum enum bi wo hodom aba no wa twedia wo honum.
The Speaker, I now move you to stalled project. The Speaker, due to the bilateral creditors debt restructuring that is ongoing, undertaken by previous administration, a staggering number of 55 projects have been halted. Mr. Speaker, this leaves a massive amount of $3 billion US dollars in undisbursed loans and about $300 million in outstanding interim payment certificates, IPCs. Some of these projects include the famous Ifie Kwanta Hospital, the Kejetia Market Phase 2, the Bogatanga, Boko, and the Tema Aflawa Road project.
Dr. Wadama, Miami South or my Ghana cocoa sector na ekosen.
The Speaker, the legacy arrest stood at 1.73 billion US dollars as at end 2024. Right, Honorable Speaker, the cocoa sector, which has long been the backbone of the Ghanaian economy, is sadly on its knees, owing to gross mismanagement. Mr. Speaker, the sector faces declining output and financing challenges characterized by unsustainable debt, rollover cocoa contract risk, and quasi-fiscal expenditures, including cocoa roads, which, Mr. Speaker, is a non-core function of the Ghana Cocoa Board. Right, Honorable Speaker, cocoa production has dropped by nearly 50% over the past 3 years. In the year 2023-2024 crop season, Cocoa Board was unable to supply 330,000 tons of cocoa to meet its contractual obligation. This sharply decline has affected the finances of Ghana Cocoa Board.
Anya yokotie ye waswafo ya washo my Ghana sikasam so Dr. Kesela to ba forcing.
Na akasa fa mu mesia ho ena wakasa ye kire mu se ema awofo o makomantu emomu mohu free SHS enya aban hwe ti aban hu no ontwem na emum obetirem na ekwan ofa so atirem ne se mesia foto ye Ghana Education Trust Fund get fund no ye wo sika dodo a ye betumi ye firim brano enu se no ye beyin kataso ne firo se de be ya aban betumi ye sika bum Edia free on what they are free SHS in Bagaya. His
Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has resolved the funding challenges by uncapping the GET Fund. Mr. Speaker, this makes available dedicated funding for full financing of free senior secondary school education and free tertiary education for persons with disability. Mr. Speaker, therefore, Capping and Realignment Act will be amended to uncap the Ghana Education Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, this year, the budget for free senior secondary school education program is 3.5 billion Ghana cedis.
And what's saying was in praying no say free secondary education program no. Sika aban de bon bra 3.5 billion Ghana cedis. Nyame adom e masankata so no. Aban yi free get fund so a. Ye benya bia 4.1 billion Ghana cedis nti. Free SHS ne betrem. Na ye tremu no na adechani adesua kade. Books ankoda ni hia wo de besua de. Se ye call KG books no mu a. Nkoda ba ye 2.8 million. Eno obia benya 4 sets. E de asua de. Ye call primary textbook nso so a. Enkoda 800,000. Ene benya 4 sets. Na afei ye call JHS a wo mo JHS 3 no. Textbooks no so 540,000. Ene ye enkoda wo mo benya 9 sets. De asua de.
We have also allocated an amount of 564.6 million Ghana cedis for the provision of curriculum-based textbooks covering the following. 1. 4 sets of KG books and workbooks for about 2.8 million learners. Mr. Speaker, we have also provided for 4 sets of primary textbooks for about 800,000 learners. Mr. Speaker, we have also provided for 9 sets of SHS textbooks for about 540,000 learners. Right, Honorable Speaker.
And what's the year now, Honorable Dr. Kezel Atoforsen? Eka said their first school feeding program, huh? Was in Prempren, Eka say, you know, 1.344 billion Ghana cedis. And in the budget, I had a man called Anediane. Was a banyatum. Or how much Chemodia Samiansa 33%. Americana 1.788 billion Ghana cedis. As a Chinese say, Afino, Akwadebia Nanka, Aban Bonhoka, 1 Ghana 50 pesos, Echo 2 cedis.
Right, Honorable Speaker, under the school feeding program, budgetary provision has been increased from the 1.3 billion Ghana cedis last year to 1.78 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, representing a 33% increase, the allocation for 2025 reflects an increase in feeding costs per meal per child from the 1 cedi 50 pesos to 2 cedis, representing 33.3%.
Abano aban bossa wadima wo ko university ni se afia di kan no wafa wo mu fees ne eka no eno so wan sam te se no so Sika 499.8 million Ghana cedis. And aban etwa edibetu sana mono.
Mr. Speaker, an amount of 499.8 million Ghana cedis has been allocated for the non-academic fee policy for all first-year students in public tertiary institutions under the No Fee Stress initiatives.
Na ne kwakwa mu wo mesiam na Dr. Kezel Atoforsen ne ba man yese 203 million Ghana cedis ena aban eyi ato obem se wode ba betua teacher training allowance ena afei 480 million Ghana cedis nso nursing training allowance wode betua.
We have also allocated 203 million Ghana cedis for the payment of teacher training allowances and another 480 million Ghana cedis to nursing training allowances.
Dr. Kezel Atoforsen, any
Now, was one for ya wash my Ghana Sika Sam, so Dr. Kezel Atoforsen, what one in Casemo, and watch him say, see, I dear had a person say, and this year buying a buy and woman say, Abanda done pa dear, why we none waka be with Sika Sam in Koye, while my Ghana Sika Sam net dafamas will be an Unquia canoe. Now, Cobanas say, ya natural say, and this year banner was Sudia Cassia pa, and was a quabias what the year Juma, at one door should do at one, a be a new sans was it 2.5 adwene na etuo bi te se betting tax no wase NDC aban ebe ye free honom e-levy 1% wo ye free honom VAT any emission levy ye enwusie to nyina wase NDC aban be ye free honom sɛ na wasi akire mu.
Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on betting. We will abolish the electronic transfer levy, e-levy of 1%. We will abolish the emission levy, otherwise as a Wusie tax. We will abolish the VAT on motor vehicle insurance policy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 1.5% withholding tax on unprocessed gold by small-scale miners. Mr. Speaker, the removal of these taxes will ease the burden on households and improve their disposable incomes. In addition, it will support business growth and improve tax compliance.
Ebusia eni ayekotie your sofo ya osho my Ghana sika samso Dr. Kesela to ba force nesam anono na ate se MPP 2038 dia as MPs ni bi ena na watche bra MPP abamba sanso aba na minister to aso kire Ghana for se sika bia da wo mu atwa to wonom se Ghana for ye de boy ho bra wa afi mu no wase wo mu nima na mro so.
Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians through the recent National Economic Dialogue have expressed a clear desire for fiscal deficit and public debt to be reduced through cut in government spending rather than through only tax measures. We wholeheartedly agree, Mr. Speaker. Going forward, we will tailor our expenditure to align with our fiscal realities. After all, whoever pays off their debt gets rich. Mr. Speaker, we are poised to implement a three-pronged approach to achieve our objective, beginning with this budget immediately.
Dr. Mepacho 24-hour economy policy no enchechemune saying.
So, Speaker, we remain committed to the pursuit of our 24-hour economic policy of stimulating economic growth and job creation. Right, Honorable Speaker, this policy will contribute to addressing Ghana's structural economic challenge by creating an integrated, efficient, and increasingly export-driven industrial economy that fulfills the utilization of our national resources, capital, and labor power. Right, Honorable Speaker, will be presenting the 24-hour economic policy Parliament in due course. In this
Ania yokotie your for ya wash my Ghana sika samso Dr. Kesel Atoba Forsen.
Now omrasebe jofia wode afi abanya ko masika ensomu emayen na wo kasaye cheche ni semu a wo wiye na edom kuma wo mrasebe jofia minority wo mo friends am trofo nhemu ema honorable Muhammad Amin Adam anka ne fotosamfo wo kasa won sam trofo nhemu na se no se ema abanya osiso enka bida se economy a wo muja edema no na eyare na economy bi anyare na otiapopa na ne ho eden.
The minister has confirmed to the whole world today that the economy we handed over to the NDC government was a strong economy. We have been telling Ghanaians that the economy was not in crisis. President Mahama used the soda to lament over an economy which was not in crisis. And yet he told Ghanaians the economy was in crisis. You watched the hesitation when it came to announcing the growth figures. You also watched with hesitation by the minister when it came to the debt levels, the debt to GDP level. The reality is that as of the end of last year, 2024, growth rate, real GDP growth, was 5.7%. And this was released just yesterday by the Ghana Statistical Service, confirmed by the minister today.
When you buy a year or Mayimu, they are the free moi. Yinian and I, when I tell no man near boy home was Casemuna, and Tetis and Quintabe, Taban Canasanua, Wabwa. And what's over said you were may near my yawo. Omaimu ya twama nkrofato etrasika ya buabua no ori na enyini pa 2016 NDC dia wo muja wo ma MPP betro ye no na eda form say team 3.4% na so mu de wo mu kono na gina 5.7%.
We took over from the NDC in 2016 with a growth rate of 3.4% against 5.7%. Come to the projection for 2025. That is really disturbing and disappointing. An economy that was broken, recording 5.7%, and a reset economy, as we are being told, is projecting to grow at 4%. Disturbing and disappointing. An economy that was broken, recording 5.7%, and a reset economy, as we are being told, is projecting to grow at 4%. How can we say that this reset economy will be better than the economy that President Mahama said was criminally mismanaged?
Now, the program Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam say, what did Dr. Kejela to force in Yabaho Yapa? As I said, and may be a and pray Akoso. I know Mato Maso Pass 1 person muti, and a more by a to a phone. Ebini asentia bo ebini electricity ne ensuo bo ana afei asetenam se de nkrofo bob na se emu aye den gobebo aye den dokron bo aye den panu bo fruit ni na abo aye den no nanka wo mo party abanyana mu a wotu e dia fa we ni mo.
The budget did not address how they are going to ensure that petroleum product prices do not increase. And once petroleum product prices continue to increase, transport fares will continue to increase. This budget did not address that. This budget did not address energy bills, electricity bills. They didn't talk about how to decrease water bills. All these bills will continue to increase, looking at the indicators that we are seeing. And we thought that having campaigned on cost of living crisis and came to power with the support of the Ghanaian people, the least the government could do was to present a budget that will address the cost of living crisis in terms of transport fares, petroleum product prices, energy bills. But even when we come to taxes, the minister announced that they are abolishing VAT on motor insurance. We were already not collecting VAT on motor insurance. VAT on motor insurance was exempted.
Nyayatini ni ya Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam. Wayankane fotosanfo wa NPP amambu abreso. Nana ya wansa afram Peace FM yensem training ana concentrate nsi mu na se a wode ehwa ama ne boy bae
na yankopiem wa my Ghana mra sebedefie ne yankɔhye nsemfo ahodo bi a ɔsoafo ye ɔhye my Ghana sikasɛm so yewra Dr. Kesla to baafo se wode atodwa wase baako anu wɔka ho asɛm ye paa ne sɛ yenim sɛ amemu ohoi ɛyɛ continuous aba betoa wo betona so a ya na wotoa so ɛno nti ɛnhyehyɛ bia da MPP abamba wɔyɛ no wo mu dada mu kama digya wo mu na asɛm baako betimi agyina mu aka kyerɛ Ghana fo ne sɛ aban ye MPP abante so no sika no wotwa wi a wodia manebro so nanso nyadia NDC abai kwa ne sade biada say and wode toja.
The fiscal performance in the year 2024 was characterized by improved revenue collection but with significant expenditure overruns. In addition, large arrests were accumulated over the period. So, Speaker, in summary, the provisional data shows the following. 1. Primary balance on commitment basis, the key fiscal anchor of the IMF program, worsened from a deficit of 0.2% of GDP at the end of 2023 to a deficit of 3.9% of GDP.
Dr. Kesela to baafo sentoa ne kasem de tudwa kire se eka da dwumedie na wo mo eye no MPP aba na hyase wo ha mo nkyechem be se ediokromiensa 93% de wo mo wie na NDC aba hye Ghana fo bo se 7% na aka no wo se wo be wie.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it is instructive to note that the debt to GDP that has reduced is as a result of the 37% haircut on principal and interest that were given to Eurobond bondholders. So, Speaker, you may recall that the government commenced the debt restructuring program in the year 2022 to restore debt sustainability and economic stability.
Ba hu ana wo kan se sisi ana abana ye krado se domestic bond no wo bekọ dwama so na we nhihye ho eda ho nie wo se afi we de wo betrem entitete ne se nyanka ye koye a bond ye abana issue a wosi eye no ya na nka ye mfirihia mienu kwamiensa so afi we de wo mana machio na kire se ebekọ 5 to 6 years eno so se no wo kire mu.
Mr. Speaker, the government will take steps to reopen the domestic bond market to extend the maturity profile. The reopening will be executed cautiously to establish large-size benchmark bonds that will enhance market liquidity. Right, Honorable Speaker, further is to reduce the risk on debt portfolio of government, and we will build cash buffers to support effective implementation of the liability management strategy.
Oswafo ye a wo share wo my Ghana sikasem so Dr. Kesela Toba Force na to so say aba wo programs ahodo ye a kire se wo beye na etimi aboa Ghana fo na sika wo mu etwade ato honom eye 290.97 billion Ghana cedis say no kafaye.
Mr. Speaker, based on the resource allocation from 2025 fiscal year, the total appropriation for the year ending 31st December 2025 is 290,971,212,435 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, budget finance. Right Honorable Speaker, based on the estimate for total revenue and grants and total expenditure, the projected overall balance on commitment basis is a deficit of 43.8 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 3.1% of GDP.
Dr. Kesela Toba Force and Sanso Toaso Kasafa Revenue Niafeso Grant ho. Na Nidia wadi to join say Abani project say 223.8 billion Ghana cedis ya. Enu jina hodom de Ghana ye GDP no 17.2%. Eye ni awo hye nim say Abani betimi aye.
Total revenue and grant for 2025 is projected at 223.8 billion Ghana cedis, or 17.2% of GDP, up from 186.5 billion, or 17.4% of GDP. The projection is underpinned by non-oil revenue measures, which are expected to yield at least 0.6% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure on commitment basis for 2025 has been programmed at 269.1 billion.
Anya yekotie ye waswafo ya washo my Ghana sikasem so Dr. Kesela Toba Forcen na efa ne vat ho na wo kire se vat na da ho no NDC abai ba benya abotre se ne be ya wo betimi adadam wose ankoba ne sa ebe ha adwene pii.
Mr. Speaker, I now take you to VAT reforms. Right Honorable Speaker, we commit to the people of Ghana and this House, the business community, that we will undertake a comprehensive value-added tax reform this year, with the aim to review the current distortions and cascading structure of the value-added tax regime. Ghana's effective rate, VAT rate is about 22%. This is obviously because the 2.5 selected expenditure items, including the Ghana Cares, the U-Start, one district, one factory, for complete elimination. Mr. Speaker, we will reassign the functions of development authorities, such as Coastal Development Authority, the Northern Development Authority, the Middle Belt Development Authority, to the district assemblies.
Ania yekotie ye waswafo ya washo my Ghana yesikasem so Dr. Kesel Atoba Force wo wie ye no ene wasi idebi keke ofayento aso
na wamananso wa ba janhoden energy baby yenya ina manhoden electricity efri ene wasi aban ba ye wa ba behu se okọ ECG ni net ko se ya sinto wo hopa eke da ho nya kaketwa na nso saban tumi hwe ne sa na emom otu ho anamon ne se de dikan mita no se som de se ya ba mita no baby ebibo bia esese yehu se ewo kwayem ana ewo nsuase ense mampom kra na ewo ana se wokusibo mu kra no a ewo se yehu eno da nchen a chobo 1 2 3 yeyi enye ba akofo ye dodom na eyi nti abambe ma ankran nso so abeboa na yeyi na mahoden na wonsem no ewie peye.
Mr. Speaker, to address the energy sector challenges, including reducing the quantum of large energy sector shortfalls, the following energy sector recovery program interventions will be implemented this year. First, Mr. Speaker, ECG and NEDCO will implement a number of measures, including metering and implementation of private sector participation. Mr. Speaker, we will also implement the liquid fuel to gas swap through an increase in end gas supply from 60 mmsc per day to 100 mmsc.
Da enu na wo so bi bisa se ina mahodin tia na nya bia no sese bia no se ye beso yasene se na bibi sa wo ho ana wo kyerem se sa ne mani na wo se yetwam na nso so PURC wo mekoso a no metu ho na mo na bosumi nan bia no wo mahwe kwanya ye de sanse se ye no ebefa so.
PURC will also undertake a major tariff adjustment, which will be due in fourth quarter of 2025, to reflect capacity charges, additional liquid fuel usage, and additional capex. The weighted average cost of gas will be increased from the current $7 80 cents per MMBTU to $8.45.
Now, and what's the Ghana Labor Expert Program? And also, so, yes, sir. Ghana Fonte or Mosona or Babo Yawaman Yakakra.
Beginning this year, we will formalize the export of Ghanaian labor to other countries. We will ensure a structured and beneficial system for Ghanaian workers seeking employment abroad and create safer legal pathway for them to work in foreign countries while protecting their rights and welfare. Mr. Speaker, this will also reduce illegal migration, prevent...
And what's the Dr. Kezela to force in the essence, banking sector, one more.
This amount in the banking sector, Mr. Speaker, as this amount in the banking sector, Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the financial sector is still struggling, and the financial sector will require 10.45 billion Ghana cedis to address the financial sector legacy.